Gentleman Jack. Are you watching? So listen, I've seen tons and tons of reviews about Gentleman Jack, but none from an LGBT perspective. So today I'm going to review Gentleman Jack for you from a lesbian perspective. Now, before I do, let me talk to you a little bit about Gentleman Jack so I can set the scene a little bit, you know what I'm talking about, and then we'll go into the review. BBC One, HBO period drama series. It's set in 1832 in Yorkshire. It's like literally 20 minutes from my house. The series is based on the diaries of Anne Lister, and it contains over 4 million words that are written largely in secret code. It documents a lifetime of lesbian relationships and steamy encounters. Now, who knew this was right on my doorstep? So the series starts, I make sure that I'm sat at home with my partner, no parents, no friends, just us, a shared experience of a beautiful story of lesbian love and being your authentic self. BBC One are breaking the mould with Gentleman Jack. They are normalising lesbian life, and I couldn't be happier. Why? Well, I'll tell you. Let's begin with Sally Wainwright. Sally Wainwright is the writer and the director. Now, she has created a superbly written storyline depicting lesbian life, complete with the highs and the lows, the challenges of being a strong character in a woman's body, and what it's like to be a lesbian back in 1832. Now, we have to remember, in 1832, there were no same-sex marriages or civil partnerships. We have to consider that. Now, let's turn our attention to the main characters. Suranne Jones plays Anne Lister, and Sophie Rundle plays Anne Walker. Now, the two of them capture the tenderness and the intimacy that is felt within a lesbian relationship beautifully. Intimacy. Let's talk about intimacy for a moment. As a lesbian in a heterosexual society, you adapt how you communicate with your partner. You have to. You learn to speak without speaking. You learn to read each other in ways that heterosexual people don't even need to consider. And you learn to understand the nuances of body language and gesture. The glances, the touches of the face, the words behind the eyes, the sexual chemistry, and the emotional connection. It is all there in the characterisation of Anne and Anne. It is as though Suranne and Sophie have broken down all their own barriers and social conditioning that they've faced throughout their lives to be able to play these two characters so impeccably. They've dropped all of their inhibitions, so things like, I'm kissing a girl, what might other people think of me, what impact might this have on my career? You get the idea. So they've dropped all those inhibitions and they've fully immersed themselves into the roles. Absolutely superb. Gentleman Jack in the UK is aired at 9 p.m. Still, I thought the level of intimacy and the content of the sex scenes would be, muted in some way. But that isn't the case. It is so great to see a lesbian love scene that is authentic, intimate and tender. And it's not there simply for sensationalism. However, I feel like there's something missing. It's clear to me that Suranne has worked with an intimacy director to ensure that the sex scenes were dealt with sensitively. But what is missing in the characterisation of Anne and Anne is a lesbian insight into relationships, intimacy and connection. I would love to see this developed into series 2. Woohoo! We've got a series 2, by the way. I want to see a more authentic lesbian character in Anne Lister, with a deeper connection to her own sexuality and the struggles that she has had with that. I want to see how her rejections have impacted on her mental health, and I want to see more of an emotional connection to her lover, Anne Walker. All of this will aid Suranne to connect with the audience at home on a deeper level too. I feel like she's only just scratched the surface with the characterisation of Anne Lister. Anne Walker. I want to see the struggles that she has with her mental health and how this affects her. I want to see the impact of her stepping outside the expectations her family have of her, and I want to see the way that all of this impacts on the intimacy that she feels and expresses with Anne Lister. Lastly, on intimacy, I want to see a lesbian sex scene that is close to reality as possible. Now, listen, that's not to say that we need to see more skin. I don't think we do. Just more awareness of what goes on in a same-sex couple's bedroom. Let's talk about Secrecy for a moment. When you go out with your partner, do you exchange those glances that speak 1,000 words? Do you gently brush up against each other? Do you hold hands, touch their face, and show your love towards each other openly? Do you act on a kiss in the heat of the moment? And do you dance together at family weddings? Or do you save all of that up for the safety of your own home? As a same-sex couple, you are constantly on high alert. You are never fully in the moment and appreciating the love between you, either when you're in public or with other people. You've got these subconscious thoughts of don't let your guard down and don't assume everything will be okay. They're always with you. Holding hands, a touch to the leg or the arm, a stroke of the face, a glance that says you care. These are always considered, always assessing and on guard. Assessing every single thought of intimacy or affection for potential risks. That's totally commonplace for those of us in same-sex relationships. Before you lean in for a kiss, we check around us to see if there's anyone there, anyone watching, always on the lookout, always asking who can see us. Is it safe for us to have this special moment together? And how much time do we have before someone walks in and sees us? Listen, we're always on guard, always assessing, always looking to see who's watching, judging and criticising. Sophie and Suranne have captured this essence of lesbian life really well. Hiding behind walls, curtains, doors. It feels as though they're sneaking around for those intimate moments, those secret glances, making sure that they're not caught. Now that totally resonates for those of us in same-sex relationships today. But I must say, I found myself on numerous occasions in episode 3 shouting at the TV, "Lock the door! Lock the door!" Listen, a lesbian couple would have had it locked, moved furniture such as chest of drawers, wardrobes, whatever. It would all be pushed up against the door because, listen, you never know. Let's talk authenticity. As a heterosexual actor, playing a lesbian character can be quite tricky. I know, I used to be an actor when I was younger, but for me it was flipped. So I would play straight characters, and I can't even begin to tell you how difficult that was. Consideration of gestures, facial expressions, body language, thought patterns that affect your behaviour, feelings that are suppressed because of societal pressures. Listen, it's really difficult when you're going against your innate behaviours and mannerisms, and when you have no direct experience of being, in my case, straight, and in Suranne and Sophie's case, lesbians. We don't have anything to draw upon in that case. Now, firstly, they're creating fantastic characters that are lovable and we can relate to. And I recall in episode 3, we witnessed a poignant scene with Anne Lister and her aunt. Her aunt triggered her when she said, "All would be well and good if you were a man." To which Anne replies, "Nature played a challenging trick on me, putting a bold spirit like mine in this vessel, in which I'm obliged to wear frills and petticoats. Well, I refuse to be cowed by it." Wow. I looked at my partner and I said, "Blimey, she nailed that." We are being reminded that it is okay to be different and to be your authentic self. We witness Anne Lister facing abuse and disgust from society, yet she is adamant about living life by her own rules and staying true to herself and her sexuality. It's not easy today, never mind back in 1832. I'm an expert in authenticity and LGBT+ relationships, and I can see a level of intimacy with Anne Lister and Anne Walker. But what is missing? I want to see more authenticity. I want to see a deeper understanding of lesbian traits, thought patterns, feelings, and how this affects how we project ourselves to the world, our behaviours and our actions. I can see that Suranne has a basic awareness of this, like a surface level understanding and application, but I want to see her go deeper into authenticity, to really capture lesbian life and relationships with an intensity that demonstrates to me that she really gets it, that she really, really gets it. I want to see her being more present with her lover, both emotionally, mentally and spiritually, not just physically. And I want to see her fully embody being a lesbian. I want to see this within her first and foremost. And then I want to see how this affects her relationship, the tenderness and the intimacy with Sophie. Now, all of this will help her to build more connection with the audience too, and with her dad, right? I want to see how her understanding of lesbian life and thoughts affects her relationship with her dad. Because her dad had expectations for her, and now based on her sexuality, she isn't living up to those. There is a lot more to explore there, and I would love to see that play out. I want to see authenticity dived straight into and played out fully. That would be awesome. Let's move on to society. There are social pressures to behave and show up in the world in a certain way. Now, I've mentioned already that we live in a heterosexual world, and when you show up as anything that stands outside of this, that's when you're judged. There is absolutely no doubt about that. We hear messages as a child that seep into our subconscious mind. The world and your experience of life are viewed through a filter, and that filter consists of your conditioning and the messages that you heard and assimilated through your childhood. Your conditioning teaches you that you are expected to be or perform in a certain way, with specific people, in situations, and in society and public life. You begin to judge yourself and other people as well, based on the beliefs that you inherited from other people. You question other people's way of life, their decisions, their choices. You compare yourself to other people and wonder why you aren't as successful or happy, peaceful, or as wealthy as them. You criticise others if they don't live up to your expectations or your high standards, and all of this stems from your conditioning. Now, we mustn't forget that this also works the other way around. So other people judge you, they criticise you and your decisions, they expect things of you, and when you don't live up to those, society, communities and individuals, they let you know. There's a moment in episode 3 where we hear Sam Sowden call Anne Lister a fella in a frock. Now, Anne's face said it all in that moment. The impact of the words he used was palpable. Now, he is demonstrating to us what was expected of ladies and classed as normal back in the 1800s. There was an expectation to look and dress a certain way, and we can visibly see and hear on occasions that Anne Lister struggles with the constraints of the clothing that she feels she must wear to fit into society. And as a result, we can feel it is suppressing her individuality, her authenticity, and her sexuality. There was also the expectation to marry a wealthy man and to have children. We see this in episode 1 and 2 where Anne Lister's lovers are settling down with men, and we feel her heartache, her grief and her loneliness from her lovers choosing to conform to societal pressures. Now, her strength and courage to not settle down in this way and to find a female companion is phenomenal. We mustn't forget also the impact that religion has to play here too. Anne Lister had a strong Anglican faith. The pressures from her religion, and therefore in the local community, must have been intense, yet she saw no conflict between her Christian faith and her sexuality. All of this said, the other characters in Gentleman Jack are creating a strong sense of what must have been an oppressive and stifling atmosphere in her community, both when out in public and in society at large for Anne Lister. Now, their roles in creating this environment is essential. The portrayal of society has been nailed. I can't see anything missing here. What they're creating is fantastic. Mental health and Anne Walker. It's great to see Sophie dealing with Anne's mental health issues so sensitively. Mental health is a huge issue in the LGBT community. Mind, the mental health charity, they state that 42% of gay men and 70% of lesbians experience mental health problems, compared to 25% of the wider population. It is fascinating to see Sophie step into the characterisation of Anne Walker and portray her mental health issues. The way that it's talked about between the characters, the way that Anne talks about it to other people. It is really demonstrating to us what a taboo it was back in the 1800s, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Sophie deals with Anne's progressive mental health as she comes out and as she continues on her journey as a lesbian. What is missing then? Well, I want to see hints of Anne Lister's hurt, the rejection, the grief, the mourning of her past lovers, and the loneliness that she feels, both with her being a lesbian, but also being a strong, bold, outspoken character. I want to see a hint of the impact that all of this is having on her mental health. Because I feel that this will put Suranne in totally another league. If she deepened the characterisation of Anne Lister's underlying mental health, what it's like to be a lesbian, and to have more presence and authenticity. Honestly, I think it would blow Suranne's performance out of the park. There's a really cool acting technique that is being used in Gentleman Jack. Suranne, playing Anne Lister, she breaks the fourth wall. Now this is pure genius. The fourth wall is a term used in stage acting where you treat the audience as an invisible fourth wall, almost like in your room. So in stage acting, you don't acknowledge the audience. It is as though you are a fly on the wall in the scene unfolding in the room. When you break the fourth wall, what you do is you turn to the camera or to the audience and you speak directly to them. Sally Wainwright has used this very cleverly to engage the audience. It is reinforcing themes or the character traits of Anne Lister. It creates a moment that connects Anne directly with the audience on a more personal level. It allows us to become something beyond just an observer. There was a brilliant moment in episode 3 where we saw this in action. In one of the steamy moments, now there's a few in that episode, so just be aware, Anne Walker asks Anne Lister, "Have you done this before?" Now we see Anne Lister look directly into camera with a grin as she replies, "No, of course not." But Anne Walker notices and asks, "What are you looking at?" TV gold, absolute genius. Lastly, let's talk music. O'Hooley and Tido are the closing theme song for Gentleman Jack. Now, around 11 years ago, I met Belinda when she was a solo artist. She was performing in the Cellar Bar at the Lawrence Batley Theatre, the same theatre actually that is featured as Rawson's Bank in Gentleman Jack. To hear the title track from an LGBT plus Yorkshire folk duo, fantastic. Let's wrap up. I want to see deeper characterisation from Suranne and Sophie. I want to see that they really get what it means to be a lesbian in a heterosexual world. I want to see the intricacies of the social conditioning that we experience and the resulting impact this has on our mental health. And I want to see more authenticity, a deeper connection between Anne Lister and Anne Walker, and the sexual chemistry to feel more authentic and real. There is so much more that I feel that they could give and explore in their characterisation of these two iconic women. I want to see Suranne and Sophie working with a lesbian on their characterisation, where they'll gain valuable insights into lesbian life, mindset and lifestyle. Now it goes without saying that I'd love to work with the team on this. To produce a legacy for the next generation of LGBT plus individuals would be amazing. I don't want them to experience the same harshness that I did growing up in a heterosexual world. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to the story unfolding over the coming weeks, to seeing Anne Lister and Anne Walker's relationship blossom and play out. And I don't know about you, but I am absolutely thrilled that there'll be a second series on our screens in 2020. And at this point, I'd like to give a few thank yous. BBC and HBO, thank you. You have got no idea what message this is sending out to the world and to the next generation. Sally, you are a genius. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of your work over the coming years. Thank you for sharing the story of Anne Lister in such an elegant and authentic way. Suranne and Sophie, wow. Thank you for giving lesbians around the globe a voice, a sense of belonging, and helping to normalise LGBT plus life. You are trailblazers. And also, you know where I am if you want to work on your characterisation. The wider cast, listen, you are showing us what it is like to live in the 1800s and how difficult it must have been to be a lesbian and to be such a trailblazer in society. Huge kudos to you all. You're doing a fantastic job. O'Hooley and Tido, your music is an inspiration to people around the world. I'm looking forward to hearing more and more on TV. You're doing an awesome job. Thank you so much. There you have my review of Gentleman Jack from a lesbian perspective. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it got you thinking about what you're watching. But listen, I want to know what you think. What have been your highlights so far? Please leave me a message. Tell me what you're experiencing. And if you like what you've seen today, please subscribe, share this with your friends, and leave me a comment below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.